So I went for my auditions. The first one, I choked. I was so anxious. There was so much anxiety. I couldn't sing. I choked. The person handling the audition says, go and come back. Maybe something is wrong today. I went for the second audition. It was even worse than the first one. And I felt something holding me back, like, I won't allow you to join this choir because it will set you right back on that path of idolatry where you still continue in your ways and you won't let me teach you. So I didn't hear. I went on another audition. I wasn't listening. Second one was the was very terrible, very terrible audition. The third time I auditioned, the person handling the audition was like, look, you need me. You are very terrible at this. You can't sing. You need me. I'm going to help you because I can see you are coming here every time to come and audition. You really want this, so let me help your life. Hi guys, my name is Fummi Alexandra Alao George, popularly known as Fum's the Beloved. I say popularly known even though I'm known by like 800 people as that. But yeah, I'm speaking it into existence by the grace of God. I tried to look for a topic. I tried to sum everything I want to say into one topic and it's really difficult to. So I'm here to talk about God, and I hope you are encouraged, through the words that I speak. When I was coming here, one of the memories that God brought to mind was how He transitioned me from a person who thought worship was all about singing and music to the person that I am now. When I first got saved, I was very dependent on music. I was dependent on worship because worship was the thing that saved me. I was very depressed in my final year of uni. That was in 2018. I was depressed. I was borderline suicidal. I just wanted to end things. I had made up my mind at that point that I was going to destroy my life because there was nothing left of it. There was so much delay in my life. I didn't get into uni till I was 21. And it wasn't because my grades were bad. For some reason, there was just unnecessary delay in my life. And it felt like I had wasted my life. I grew up in a Christian home. My family got saved in 97. Prior to that, we used to practice New Age. We were New Agers, yes. We used to practice parapsychology and metaphysics. And we got saved in 97, and my house was a Christian home from that point on. My parents even got ordained to be pastors at some point, but I never really felt connected to God. I never really felt that deep connection to God. And God was just the God of my father, the God of my parents, the God of my church. I didn't have a personal relationship with Him. But I had always felt that invisible pull that I cannot describe. Like God's hand was always on my life. Even when I tried to be wayward, God did not allow it, right? He was still keeping me, holding me together. But I didn't have a personal relationship with Him. Then in my final year of uni, when I clocked 25, I was very upset. Depression was at an all-time high. I was not doing good at all. I was ready to destroy my life. Like, what is the use of being a good girl when there's still so much delay in my life? I can't make sense of my life. I don't know what is going on. So I was going to end it all. Then one night, I just heard a song in my spirit. And that's my first experience with hearing from God. I just heard a song in my spirit. For the longest, I've always felt connected to worship music. Even when I used to go to church, worship was my favorite part of the whole religion, the whole Christianity thing. So God dropped a tune in my heart. Remember this song that you used to hear when you were in church and you'd be crying and it's moving you? Like, okay, I'm going to look for that song on YouTube. And I went on YouTube and I just went on a spiral. From one song, I kept on going to other worship music till I landed on Jesus culture. I heard the music of Kim Walker and it just touched me the way she kept on singing the name Jesus. It wasn't even really anything she was doing, but the way she was singing the name Jesus. I'm like, come on, is he your boyfriend? Why are you calling him like this? There was an intimacy with which she was calling the name Jesus. And that just struck me. There was so much power. And the first lesson I want you to glean from this is that there is power in the name of Jesus. And from that point on, something just changed within me. And that's how I got saved. I told God, look, I'm giving you my life. In fact, I threw it at God, like, catch. I'm not using it to do anything again. So if you want it, it's yours. You can have it, right? And that's how I got saved. So because of this encounter, because I encountered God through music, naturally, I was very drawn to worship music. I was very drawn to that part of intimacy with God. And the only thing I was thinking of was the only way to worship God is through music, through singing. Funny enough, I am a singer. I used to be in choirs. I used to sing. So I was like, definitely, I'm going to be a worship person. I'm going to be into worship music. I'm going to spread my love for God. I'm going to discover more of God through worship music. And that was my angle. That's what I was really. And the moment I got saved, God told me, you are going to be a healer. I'll use you to heal people. And immediately I did my quick maths. 2 + 2 is 4. Boom. We are doing worship music. Music heals. We are going to heal people with worship music. And that's all I was thinking of. I didn't slow down to let God teach me more about what worship really meant. I just wanted to do worship music. And that went on for a while until one day I could no longer connect to worship music. It was like the melodies were scrambling in my head. I couldn't make sense of anything. And I felt really lost, like somebody had taken me like a fish out of water, if you will. And I was very upset, like, God, what is happening? This is the one thing I used to connect to you. And there's no connection anymore. I can't feel you here. I'm not understanding what I am listening to, what's going on. And from that point on, God started to show me, look, worship music has become an idol to you. I'm going to teach you how to worship in spirit and truth. And I will teach you how to teach people to worship in spirit and truth. Because I know that there are a lot of people who, like me, associate worship with slow music. Think worshiping God is about music and song. And God said to me, I'm going to teach you what worship really means. And he started this by taking away worship music from me for a couple of months. I could no longer listen to worship music. So I was in that place where I was forced to actually listen to God and find out his heart about what worship really meant. And worship is such a very important part of our Christian experience, of our Christian, relationship with God, because that's how we connect to him. God pours his love on us and we respond in worship. Worship is our medium of response to God. And if we cannot get it right, we cannot come to a place where we can truly communicate and connect with God. And God in his mercy just told me, look, I'm going to take away this idolatry. I'm going to teach you how to really worship me. I'm going to show you how to teach people how to really worship me. But I was still stubborn because, like the Israelites, they don't used to hear word. And me too, I do not used to hear word. So sometimes I'll calm down. Sometimes I'll still worship music. That's what I'm going to do. And it continued like that. I was in like a wilderness period for a while. Then I got to a new church. And in this church, I already knew because their choir was really amazing. Very awesome choir. I'm like, good. This is where I'm going to serve God. This is how I'm going to serve God. I'm going to join their choir. I'm going to audition. And I'm going to finally fulfill my dream of being a worship leader. And that was weird because it wasn't even my dream. It was God who gave that vision. It was God who rescued me through worship. And he's like, calm down. Let me redefine this thing for you. So I went for my auditions. The first one, I choked. I was so anxious. There was so much anxiety. I couldn't sing. I choked. The person handling the audition says, go and come back. Maybe something is wrong today. I went for the second audition. It was even worse than the first one. And I felt something holding me back, like, I won't allow you to join this choir because it will set you right back on that path of idolatry, where you still continue in your ways and you won't let me teach you. So I didn't hear. I went on another audition. I wasn't listening. Second one was the worst, very terrible, very terrible audition. The third time I auditioned, the person handling the audition was like, look, you need me. You are very terrible at this. You can't sing. You need me. I'm going to help you because I can see you are coming here every time to come and audition. You really want this, so let me help your life. At that point, I was like, God, another human being is telling me that I need him. It's not supposed to be so. It is you I need. And something just broke up open within me that day. God, it is you I need. And I just decided to stop auditioning and listen to what God was saying about worship. To just let him teach me about what worship really meant. And from that point on, God set me on a path where he began to redefine my knowledge of these things, where he began to teach me of him. And it started with establishing a group, a Christian group, for people who were broken, because there was a lot of healing that needed to take place before I could learn a lot of the things that God wanted to teach me. So I did establish that group, Broken in Grace, and it was a period of training for me. When that group ended, God led me to establish another one called The Revival. And this was where he began to teach me mysteries, teach me the truth about what worship really meant, what spirit and truth worship really was. And from that point on, God began to break me open and teach me of him. And it didn't happen until God brought me to that point where I could grow in honesty with him. From that point on, he began to teach me. Worship is a thing of the heart. It is more than just music and melodies. It's more than just lyrics and rhyme schemes. Worship is responding to your Father. It is recognizing the love that God pours over you and responding to him, however you choose to respond. And from that point on, I began to learn. Worship was more than just song. You could speak, you could dance, you can live a life of service, you can do so many things. If it is in him we live and breathe and move and have our being, anything we do in that state of union with God, where we respond to him, that is worship. From that point on, it has just been beautiful. God gave me a deep understanding of scripture. And this started to happen in my first group, Broken in Grace. There was a time he said, look, do a 30-day challenge. I was like, okay, I'm going to do a 30-day challenge. I did it. For the first few days, people were responding. When it got to the 6th day, people were tired. Nobody was responding again. But I still had to show up every single day to teach, every single day to share my gleanings on what I read. And it was a very difficult book. I remember the book of Hebrews. Anybody who knows that book knows that is the OG of depths. Like, it's such a packed book. And that was the book God led me to teach. And I kept on showing up every single day. Even though I was tired, even though I was frustrated, there was no response. Many times it was as if I was even teaching myself and talking to myself. But in that service, God taught me how to worship. It's not about other people. It's not about who responds with you or who responds. It's not about what other people do. Worship is living for the audience of one. And when I had to show up every single day to teach, whether or not people were there, that was when I started to live for the audience of one and to truly live a life of worship. And from that point on, with every project God led me to establish, with every group fellowship God led me to steward, I not only learned deeper mysteries about worship, I was able to teach these things to people, to let people know that worship is more than the things we think it is. worship in its simplest form is a response, like I said. And it has just been a very beautiful time, growing in that knowledge, imparting this knowledge to people. And I thank God every day for those 3 failed auditions. I thank God for seizing my worship music privileges. It has been a very beautiful time with God. And every day, I just grow deeper and deeper in love with God. I grow in deep appreciation and love for Him. And my encouragement to everybody who is listening is, first of all, to get out of God's way. Let Him show you how He wants to be loved. God is a God who meets us where we are. He teaches us to be with Him. And before He does this, He satisfies our need, first and above all things. He reaches out to us. Like the psalmist said, even if I make my bed in hell, you are there. Where can I run from your presence? Where can I flee from you? That's how invested God is in you. That's how much He surrounds you. That's how much He comes to meet you at your point of need. So a God who knows you that intimately, even when you were formed in your mother's womb, there's nothing else about you that He needs to discover. But we have everything to discover about God. We have everything to learn about Him. And He's the one in the best position to teach us these things, to open our hearts, to open our eyes. So get out of God's way and let God teach you. It might come with disappointment, it might come with embarrassment, it might come with, a lot of the things that you will not like. But I promise you, when the work of God is done, you look back at every single time that you got things wrong. You look back at every single time that it seemed like you failed. And you thank God for these periods. You thank God for everything that led you to Him. So that's my testimony. And I hope that you will be blessed by it.